Kevin is a lawyer. He is of talent in law. He won 64 lawsuits in a row. He also has a very beautiful wife. In terms of personality, he is an extremely spoiled person, wanting to be respected by others. He aspires to have much more money. But because he lived in a small city, no matter how many cases he won, he wouldn't be satisfied. One day, Kevin defended a teacher accused of harassing a female student. As the student was telling the story of her abuse, the teacher sitting below looked around, and his hand was stroking the table. Now that he was able to do such an act, the fool also knew that he had abused the female student. Kevin's conscience was forced to make a choice, so he was extremely upset. He went to the toilet to think about whether to defend that demon. At this moment, a reporter came in and taunted him, saying that Kevin was afraid of losing the lawsuit, so he escaped here. This statement greatly affects Kevin. Kevin decided to ignore his conscience. Back to the court, Kevin said that the female student, because she hated the teacher, she wanted to slander the teacher to harass her. He also took a picture of the student badly painted the teacher as evidence. After a while of arguing, the judge was persuaded and declared the teacher innocent. The student's father was extremely angry, wanting to kill Kevin. But Kevin didn't care, because he won the lawsuit and preserved his record. He went with his wife to celebrate his victory. A black man approached them and said that he was from a New York law company. He wanted to invite Kevin to help in a lawsuit with very good treatment. He immediately agreed and went with his wife to New York. He easily won the trial. Then, the black man told Kevin that their business expanded across many countries. In addition to ordinary customers, they also represent more than 25 foreign governments. He even took Kevin to meet the boss of his company, Milton. Milton saw Kevin's talent and wanted to invite him to stay for his company. Salary decided by Kevin. However, they need to check on Kevin. After that, the black man arranged for the couple to live in an apartment. This apartment building is where the staffs of this company live. Depending on their positions, the interior of the apartment is extremely luxurious. Kevin still hesitated, so he consulted his wife. His wife, of course, said he had to stay here if he didn't want to go back to their old city. After that, Kevin officially became an official member of the Milton Company. He also has his own office. On his first day at work, he was scheduled for a case. It was to help a man named Moise defend. Moise makes slam in the basement, affecting public hygiene, so the police prosecute him. Kevin immediately came to find out about the situation. Upon arriving, Kevin discovered that this man was a head of a cult. Lamb is a ritual for them. Moise asked for the name of the police and took out a piece of land from the refrigerator. Then he took some nails and spread them around the lamb. He said doing so could silence the police. During the trial, Kevin said that Moise only killed one lamp in his house. Although it sounds a bit strange, this is a ritual in their religion. This is completely consistent with the law of freedom of religion. After saying that, he also took out some specific legal evidence. One policeman stood up to protest, but could not make any sounds. The judge eventually denied the charges against Moise. Kevin won the case, which made Milton very happy. During the congratulatory party that evening, Kevin met and fell in love at first sight with a redheaded colleague. Kevin was talking to her, then Milton called him to his office. Milton asks him to defend a real estate tycoon. He was charged with the murder of his wife, son and maid. Originally, the director disagreed because he thought that Kevin was young and did not have much experience. Kevin shouldn't take on such an important case. But Milton was determined to let Kevin take over the case, so the director had no choice. On the other hand, Kevin's wife is allowed to stay in a big house and have more money, but she is not happy at all. She even started to remember her old house, because there she didn't feel as bored as she is now. Kevin continued to leave her at home alone after a party, so she became extremely angry. Kevin said that he has a very important case, but his wife did not care, because it was true that he abandoned her at the party. The two of them had a big fight. The next day, the wife and two friends went to buy clothes. Unexpectedly, the wife saw her friends turn into a devil. She was extremely scared and talked this with Kevin. Kevin assumed that she had been drinking, which caused the hallucinations, but the wife said it was all true. Kevin couldn't convince her, so he gave her a hug. But he saw his wife turn into his redheaded colleague. Because Kevin wanted to take good care of his wife, Kevin welcomed his mother to New York. As soon as they got there, they met Milton and the redheaded woman. His mother saw Milton, then she gazed for a moment. The next day, she wants to go back. Kevin couldn't hold his mother. That evening, Kevin's wife continued to hallucinate. She saw a boy holding a womb, and underneath her skirt was covered with blood, which scared her extremely. The next day, she went to the hospital for a checkup to find out that she was no longer capable of giving birth. Kevin still does not pay much attention. He thinks this is just a nightmare of his wife. Kevin comforted his wife that not everything will be over quickly. The wife was about to go mad because of his carelessness. Right now, the murder case is in progress. The real estate boss said that when his wife was killed he was having an affair with his secretary, just proving that he can get away with it. But when Kevin asked his secretary, he found out that the boss was lying. He really did kill people. But because Kevin wanted to preserve his reputation and prove his competence with Milton, he changed the boss's secretary during the trial. He used adultery as an alibi for the real estate boss. The director of the company was jealous of Kevin's promotion, threatened him with the heir of the case. Then, Kevin talked about this with Milton. After that, the director has been beaten to death by 2 vagabonds. The 2 wanderers also turned into the form of a terrifying demon. At the same time, the wife's mental state was extremely unstable. She is at a chapel. Kevin asked what was wrong with her, then she told her she was attacked by Milton. Kevin didn't believe it because Milton sat with him all afternoon at court. Kevin said he couldn't attack her unless he wasn't human. The wife wanted to prove she wasn't crazy by showing Kevin her wounded body. Kevin thought deeply that it was the wound she caused herself. Kevin decided to take her to a mental hospital. After being injected, the wife calmly told Kevin she knew why that happened. All because their wealth is not worth it. Obviously, they knew that the others were guilty and also defended them, so now they had been retrieved. Then an agent came to Kevin. He said Milton's company was not that simple. They smuggled weapons everywhere and helped many countries launder money. Their crimes are very much. The director wanted to denounce Milton, so he was killed. Now, the agent wanted Kevin to denounce Milton, but Kevin certainly disagrees. The agent reiterated the previous case of teacher abuse of female students. The agent said the teacher was arrested yesterday because he contained a young girl's body in the trunk of his car. It was all due to Kevin's mistake. Hearing that made Kevin extremely moved. After that, the agent was immediately hit by the car. That makes Kevin so scared. Kevin went to the hospital to visit his wife and found his mother was also there. She told Kevin about his true identity. Many years ago, when his mother came to New York, she met Kevin's father. When they were talking about it, Kevin's wife had problems. She saw the assistant beside her turn into a demon. She pushed the assistant outside and locked the door. She then held a mirror fragment. Kevin felt that the situation was not good, so he broke the door to go inside. But it was not in time, because his wife had stabbed her neck with the fragment. Kevin hugged his wife in pain, but the assistant outside was coldly watching them. The doctor comes and could not save his wife. She was dead. After that, Kevin's mother continued to tell him that Milton was his biological father. Kevin knew that everything was set up by Milton. When Kevin was about to look for Milton to question him, he found that no one was on the street. At the company, Milton admitted he had done everything to Kevin's wife. Kevin angrily grabbed a gun to shoot Milton, but the bullets just passed through him, and Milton was okay. As expected, he is not an ordinary person. Kevin asked who he really was. He says he has many names including Satan. At this time, the red-haired girl also appeared. Milton says this is Kevin's half-sister. His words made Kevin surprised. Kevin asked what Milton wanted to do. Milton says he wants the 2 of them to have a child together, so the child can claim the world. He said that to do that it would take Kevin's will or else to no avail. Kevin finished listening and laughed. Finally, he learned of Milton's evil intentions. The redeemed woman assumed that Milton was talking too much. She wanted to use her body to seduce Kevin. But unexpectedly, Kevin took the gun to kill himself. The furious Milton created a great fire. The red-haired girl affected by the flames turned into a burning corpse. At this time, Milton also showed his true form. It was Kevin's pose with wings. After a shout, Kevin turned back to being in the toilet. At this time, he was hesitating then whether to defend the teacher or not. Back to court, the first thing Kevin did was to kiss his wife. After that, he announced to everyone that he would not justify the teacher. Although he failed in the case, Kevin felt extremely happy. The reporter turned to Kevin again and said that this would be written into an article about the attorney's conscience. It was definitely a hot topic and turned Kevin into a celebrity. Kevin was about to refuse, but his wife urged him, so he agreed. Then the reporter changed into Milton's appearance. The frivolity, he said, was his favorite sin. Of course, Kevin fell into another sinful circle. Will Kevin be able to escape this time? The end surprised everyone. In fact, evil is always by our side. Becoming a good person or a bad person is due to the will of each person. Money and fame are good things, but we need to gain them legally. Unwarranted wealth will inevitably encounter retribution. The movie here is the end. Thank you for watching. Follow my page to watch more film review.